Is that wood or malt? I'm telling you, that is driving me nuts. I need to be able to figure out the difference between barrel influence and malt. I guess I need to drink more whiskey to figure it out. Welcome to Whiskey is a Journey. My name is Peter Fasciano, and in today's journey, we are heading to Dublin, Ireland, and we are going to take a look at Teeling's single malt Irish whiskey offering. Let's go ahead and pour it, nose it, taste it, and talk about it. All right, so Teeling Irish single malt. This is coming in at 46 ABV. It's non-chill filtered. This was bottled in August of 2017. It is natural colored and it is double distilled. Now, even though this was bottled in 2017, this is a non-aged statement whiskey, but I will be circling back to the age here in just a little bit. Let's go ahead and nose this. All right, so this is a little bit interesting, much different than the American single malts. I'm getting a lot of light fruits, things like pineapple and apple, maybe grapes. There's also a spiciness in here. The spiciness that I'm getting is a little bit peppery. Can that be right? Peppery? A little peppery, some cinnamon. No, not cinnamon. Peppery. And I'm still struggling with the wood notes and the malt. I'm guessing it's wet wood. So is that barrel influence or is that the actual oak that this is being matured and finished in? Whatever the case may be, there is definitely a good balance between fruit, sweetness, and spiciness. I remember the American single malts seem to be either fruity or spicy, but this seems to have both. Let's go ahead and give it a taste. Whoa. That's a big ethanol blast. Burning down the throat, burning in my chest. Well, I wasn't expecting that at all. That spiciness is there. I'm still getting that pepper. It's not sticking to my tongue. The sweetness is there. Sweet pineapple, apple, maybe some pear, but it's more green grape and apple. And not the apple skins, just the apple itself. I'm not getting any tartness from the skin. It's just that juicy, crispy apple. Let's go back here for the smell. I'm trying to get more of that sweetness in here. That ethanol is really taking me by surprise there. Try to back it off a little bit. Yeah, pineapple. That pineapple is really there. Pineapple and apple, that's what I'm really getting, along with that pepper spice. Let's go ahead and taste it again. All right, not so bad on the ethanol that time. Maybe I'm a little bit more prepared for it. On the finish, not so much of a finish. It kind of just hits a brick wall and cuts off. It hits the tongue right at the very front. We get that initial sweetness, that initial spiciness. I'm waiting for it to develop into something, and it just doesn't. That's interesting. Now, the reason why I say this is interesting is because I know that this is matured in ex-bourbon barrels, so I would expect some vanillas or honeys to come out. And then it's also being finished in 5 different barrels. It's matured in the ex-bourbon and then the finished wine barrels that they're using, 5 different wine barrels. Cabernet Sauvignon, White Burgundy, Madeira, Sherry, and Port. So I thought maybe this would develop into something a little bit more, revealing other fruits, other sweetness. And it really doesn't. Let's go ahead and add water to this and see if it does anything to it. And then as the water is doing its thing, I want to talk a little bit about the age of the whiskey that might possibly be in here. And in the meantime, I'm also going to give a little bit of a history on Teeling itself. So let's go ahead and let the water do its thing and talk a little bit about Teeling. The Teeling name is not new to whiskey in Ireland. In 1782, Walter Teeling had a craft distillery in Dublin. It has since closed down. Like the majority of all distilleries in Dublin got to the point where the Irish whiskey community has collapsed and the majority of, if not all, distilleries shut down with the exception of, I think, 2. But that's going to be another story for another video. After Walter Teeling, in 1987, John Teeling, and he ended up purchasing a state-owned potato distillery, which eventually turned into the Cooley Whiskey Distillery in 1987. John Teeling owned Cooley for quite a while and then eventually ended up selling to Beam in 2012 for I think $95 million. And in the process of the selling, eventually Beam sold out to Suntory for $16 billion. The sons were working with their father and they knew that they wanted to continue the whiskey process. So they eventually opened up, or prior to selling, they opened up Teeling in 2011. And when they negotiated the contract, when they sold it to Beam, they also negotiated in 16,000 barrels of Cooley whiskey. So they used that stock to actually start up the Teeling distillery until they started distilling their own new make spirit in 2015. Which brings me to my question. When I'm looking at this being bottled in August of 2017, I'm wondering if some of that 16,000 barrel from the Cooley distillery is in this, or if this is the actual distillate that was produced in 2015 or beyond. Based on the information that I have been looking at, there could be whiskey in here as old or older than 20 years if this is coming from that Cooley stock, or obviously it could be much younger if this is from their new make spirit that started in 2015. Either way, let's go ahead and taste this now and nose it with the water. Okay, that ethanol is definitely not there any longer. It's not as strong. So obviously proofing this down with the water is helping. I'm getting more sweet now than the spice. The pineapple is still there. Maybe a little bit more floral. I don't think I got that before with it not having water in it. The spice is still there. I'm still getting pepper. Let's go ahead and taste it. Oh yeah, for me, much better with water this time. I'm starting to enjoy this a little bit more with the water in it. That spiciness now is there. That's definitely a floral note that I'm picking up as well. And with all of these different casks that they were using for finishing, I'm surprised I'm not getting more out of this. I'm thinking because of the Madeira, the sherry, and the port, this would be dark fruit, but it's not. It's very light, like I mentioned before. The pineapples, the apples, maybe the grapes without the skins, because there's no tartness to this at all. Apples without the skin. Pepper and cinnamon maybe. I know I said cinnamon earlier, but now the cinnamon might be coming out a little bit. Very nice on the nose. Let's go ahead and taste this one again. Yeah, that's decent. Definitely much, much different than any of the American single malts that I've done before. Ooh, what is that? Is that wood or malt? I'm telling you, that is driving me nuts. I need to be able to figure out the difference between barrel influence and malt. I keep on going back and forth between this. This one does not have a tannin note to it. It doesn't sting my tongue. It doesn't give me that tartness on there. Boy, that is confusing. I guess I need to drink more whiskey to figure it out. So this is double distilled as opposed to a single pot. Single pot still whiskey is typically triple distilled. I think that's the thing for Irish whiskey. Single pot still whiskeys are triple distilled, and they use 50%. Actually, I'm not sure of the percentage. I know Teeling does a single pot still Irish whiskey that uses 50% malted and 50% unmalted barley. But other Irish whiskeys that are single pot still, that are triple distilled, may not use that mash bill. I could be wrong. If you guys know, listen, put it in the comments down below. Yeah, this is more floral now. I'm getting floral, I'm getting spice, and I'm getting sweetness. The sweetness is that pineapple, the spice is the pepper, and floral is just, you're just walking by a flower shop and you get that blast from outside the door. But I gotta tell you, I am a little bit disappointed that this kind of just hits a brick wall. It doesn't develop into anything more. All right, I think I've exhausted everything they need to say about Teeling. If I had to give this a score right now, I think I would give this 3.5 stars out of 5, just because of that brick wall that the development takes. I do like the sweetness. I do like the spice. I like the ABV toned down just a little bit with water. I definitely like this one more with water. But yeah, I think I'm going to have to give it 3.5 stars out of 5. All right, I think that's where I'm going to leave it today. Enjoy your journey. If you're digging this information and you're not a subscriber, subscribe to the channel. If you know anybody in the whiskey world, share this channel with them. Give me a like. Post some comments down below if you're familiar with Teeling single malt Irish whiskey. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.